Hi, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Ali Hart, and today we're talking to Abe Sese. You will know that the Hindsight series is where I'm speaking to creatives, business folk, people who are making waves in the industry who I respect and admire, and I just want to share their story. So today I have Abe. You will know if you've listened to my podcast for a while that I have an Abe too. This is Abe with an I. So, hi, Abe. It's very good to have you.
It's nice to be here, Ali, and what an introduction. You respect me, and
Yeah, yeah, I do.
oh,
I do. Should I not have said that?
no, you absolutely should have said it. I'll take that, no problem.
Good. Well,
And
I'll
what I
let you
love,
introduce.
sorry, just before, what I love is that I only know one other Abe in the world, my dad, and your
Ah.
son is Abe, so I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, whenever I was heavily pregnant in the car, you were on the radio. So I'll get to that about Abe, this Abe, in a minute. But I was heavily pregnant and we were going through different names. And my Michael was like, Abe's awesome, Abe with an A, because I wanted a. Uh, anyway, I have boys, all boys. So I
Yeah.
wanted something linked because I knew this was the last baby.
Uh,
So he has my initials. So it was Abe with an A. But if you'd like to tell us a little bit about what you do, because you are a radio presenter, but also, can I say voiceover? But like you're also a presenter off radio too, because that's where I first met you when we were doing the Health and
uh-huh.
Fitness Awards.
I don't do a lot of it, but yeah, I've been doing more and more of it. Like comparing, hosting events, award ceremonies like the business awards, and things like that. But primarily, yeah, Q Radio, drive time 4 to 7, Monday to Friday, Sunday mornings as well. So that's my thing. That's my bread and butter, if you like.
Brilliant. And that is for anybody, because we've quite a lot of listeners in the States, you can actually stream that because whenever I was in travel, I was traveling for 6 weeks with my Abe 2 years ago, we were able to stream it. So they can stream.
Yeah, you can worldwide on the web. It's all good. And
Good. So
we do have listeners all over the world as well. I have a regular listener listens every day while working in his office in New York,
fab.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, where's he gone there? Taking a
Oh,
video there.
I've actually talking worldwide. Sam Ingram from Australia is trying to FaceTime me, so
Okay.
Sammy is going to get declined. Sorry about that.
Don't
I'm
worry.
back.
That's night. It's probably nighttime over there anyway. Don't worry, I can take that out. Well, also, why would I take it out whenever you sound so popular? Someone getting in touch with you in Australia. Great. So that is, and you're also a dad as well. Do you want to tell us just a little bit about you? Do you want to even just do a line or two about if I was to say
Yeah.
what would, yeah.
Okay. Dad of four, as you just mentioned. Katie's 18, Molly's 15, Daniel's 10, Stephen's 11. So they're all steps and stairs. But yeah, married to Colleen, who I believe you've known for longer than me.
Oh,
Oh, we'll have to talk about
yeah,
that then,
because
maybe
I've
off.
definitely like zoomed in and creeped because I quite like there's days you would put up on a Sunday that you're having
Uh-huh.
like fizz, and that's someone that I definitely
Yeah,
can
well,
appreciate.
I think you and Colleen danced together back in London in the Millennium. Does this ring a bell?
Yes, when I was in France, what school did she go to?
She was in Drumore High.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
with
So
Emma,
you,
Emma from Drumore High too.
so you
See
and
how
Colin go back
embarrassed I am
further
because that
than.
was priceless. That was the Millennium Dome. Yeah, that was great.
And I've seen the videos and photographs. But we'll not embarrass you too much right now. No,
I
we'll leave
really
that.
want to connect with Colleen then again because I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I've been married to Colleen from 2008. And yeah, we live in Lambeg. Colleen's a classroom assistant, makeup artist. She does some of that as well. So it's pretty full on here, Ali, in
Yeah.
our house, as you can imagine.
Well, Abe and I were just talking there about the homeschooling or emergency schooling, as I like to call it. I've actually found this week really difficult, so much so that my husband took the younger two there just so I could get a little bit of work
Mhm.
because just even yesterday I found a note from a teacher saying he's really struggling with this about one of the
Yeah.
boys and the guilt because I'm a creative, and that's what we're talking about here. Creative, like I'm not mathematical. I feel like the weight of that on my shoulders is
Yeah.
a bit of a detriment to the schooling system, to be honest. But how are you finding all that? Are you sharing the load then, or what way does it work in your house?
Well, it's nice that you can offload your two and your husband can take them to school.
That's just a one-off because he could see I was just absolutely at, because he's been working long and I'm working late at night, and he could see I was just not coping. It was that or the GP, really.
Yeah, well, he can take ours any morning he wants to slide by. But no, it's not easy, you know, and it isn't easy on the kids either.
Yeah.
Ali, you know, Stephen's at the year he's doing it. Well, was supposed to be doing his transfer test. Obviously, that's
Right.
going to happen.
Yeah.
So there's a big question mark over how that's going to work, what school he's going to go to off the back of that, and yeah, it's not nice. It's not easy. You know?
So tell me then about how, in terms of education with you, then where you, if you're happy to share that, how you got
way
to
back.
Yeah, it's really cool to hear the story.
Just right. So in a nutshell, I'm 40. I turned 40 last September.
Oh, Michael, same as Michael, 1980.
80, September 80. I was born here in Belfast. My father, he's from West Africa.
Right.
So my dad, he moved here in 1976 to get his doctorate at Queen's.
Right.
Met my mum. She was a dental nurse in Stranmillis, and that was my dad's practice. That's how they met. I came along in 1980.
Yeah.
And my dad had the intentions of going back to Sierra Leone, where he's from. I came along, like I said, in 1980, changed plans a bit, and then mum and dad decided to relocate back to Sierra Leone in 81, bringing me along. Okay. So we lived in Sierra Leone for almost 3 years, and then mum wasn't for her. So we decided to come back to Northern Ireland. So we've been here from 1983.
Right.
So that's that part of it. We lived in Lambeg. I went to St. Coleman School in Lambeg, where our kids go to. Yeah. Where Colleen works. So I have a close association with St. Coleman's. After St. Coleman's, I went to St. Patrick's in Lisburn. Yeah. After St. Patrick's, I didn't know really what I wanted to do with my life as a career. I was always in the cars. So I wanted to be a mechanic. So I did my 3 years in Lisburn Tech, my motor vehicle. I went on to do a further 2 years in auto electrics, which I loved. I worked then, that took me to Coca-Cola, and I worked in the garage in Coca-Cola, working in the vans and the lorries and the forklifts, anything with wheels on it, I worked on it. Then I got an opportunity they were launching River Rock and Brona Cullen.
That's right, the water, River Rock. Yes, I remember the launch. Yeah.
The launch.
My cousin actually worked in Coca-Cola, but she's passed away now. But I remember that.
Oh, really? So
but it was a lot of people, a lot of staff, weren't there? Yeah.
I was one of the original water boys, as they call it. So we helped launch River Rock, put it on the map, which we did very successfully, and then that took me naturally. And I had worked part-time on the events team. Okay. In Coca-Cola as well. So I was in the garage, working in the garage. I was working in sales, working on the events team, and I was all over the place. And that I worked in sales within Coke for about 2 years, and then sales wasn't for me.
Right. Yeah.
So handed my notice in. At that particular point, I'd already been DJing in bars and clubs, so I had an income still coming in.
Yeah. When was this?
So we're going back now. This is about 99, 2000.
Okay. What clubs?
Oh, I'd have been in the Parlour, in the Egg, the Club. I had just started the Groovy Train about 2001.
Best Friday nights out, best ever.
Mm-hmm. Getting your groove on, back to the 70s and 80s. So, But yeah, I'd worked in the Mercury. It was a bar on the Armour Road. Worked in the Down Royal in Lisburn. Everywhere. So so that was that. Where am I now? I'm in 2002 or 3. After leaving Coke, a friend of mine, he worked for the Auto Trader, called me up. knew that I was free, available during the day, he said, "We have an opportunity here for a photo agent,
Okay.
basically taking photographs across Northern Ireland for
Of
the Auto
course.
Trade magazine of
Right.
cars, of tractors, of you name it. I photographed it
Yeah.
from a job that was initially supposed to be, I don't know, a couple of weeks, months. 10 years later, I was still doing it.
Wow.
So, coming to the end of that, I got into radio
Okay.
and I started in City Beat, started doing, weekends and evenings and things like that. And kind of by accident, Ali, it all of a sudden was a full time job.
Okay. And how, so, well, first of all, my dad was a mechanic.
Uh-huh.
And I love cars too. And I just got my first ever new car,
Oh, look at
like
you.
via lease, so,
Yeah,
after years of the seven-seater people car, which there's nothing wrong with. I
you still
got my
got
dream
one?
car, which was one of my goals. But we also had vintage cars growing up. So Cars, Auto Trader was always in our house, even
Yeah.
after my dad died. But so how does the likes of that, because you said about the radio, how did that come about? Just somebody heard you DJ and said, would you ever, you have a voice for radio or something? How does
Well,
that feeling?
I, as I said, I was always working in clubs, bars, and clubs. And a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, Trevor Chesney,
Okay.
um, Trevor had been DJing for many, many, many years, also in bars and clubs. And Trevor was diagnosed with cancer, bowel cancer, and he had always been chirping in my ear, "You need to be on the radio. You need to be on the radio." And long story short, Trevor passed away, and it was something that I thought, right, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I sent a demo to um, City Beat,
Yeah.
and Jippo Ballantyne was the program director at the time, and within 2 days he rang me and he said, "Can you call down for a chat?"
Okay.
So went down and met him on the Armour Road, and literally by the end of that week, I was training up in this studio,
Right.
and I think it was my first show solo. Um, well, I was working in the Box nightclub every Wednesday night, and then I came out of there at 2 o'clock in the morning. Went to the radio station at 3 when there's nobody listening to the radio, because that's
Yeah.
the time you make your mistakes. Then. Um, and then Jippo rang me the following week and said, "Listen, Stephen Clements, he needs I think it was a Monday or Tuesday. He did the Monday and Tuesday evening at the time on City Beat, and he needed off. And would you step in?" And I
Brilliant.
shipped
And that's it.
myself.
Yeah.
I thought, right, oh my God. So, and yeah, I've been on basically ever since.
Well, just for anybody that's listening to the podcast as well, I take it these are all CDs or the books. They're all CDs.
No, yeah, these are CDs. This is my a very eclectic collection of CDs and records. There's some records in there as well, and whiskey.
Oh, I
I
can see the
put
balls on
it at
top.
the top.
Brilliant. Well, that so it's not just about DJing this or being on the radio. Then music is very much a passion of
Yeah,
yours. So that
yeah.
and did you feel the two merged quite well? Because in terms of
Yeah.
you said you have a voice, but obviously the confidence behind that.
I didn't have the confidence. No, and it's something that I never, even DJing in clubs, bars and clubs, it's something that I never really
Even with
thought.
a wig on, doing a dance and no, is that
Well, actually, it's funny you say that, Ali, because um, with the wig on and with the glasses on and the white suit, you become a different person,
Mm.
and you can hide behind that character, if you
Like
like.
myself and Colleen in the Millennium Dome, back in
Yeah,
the day.
yeah, and you let yourself go that wee bit more.
Yeah, brilliant.
My alter ego back then, JJ Jackson, and me, it
Yeah,
says they are like polar opposites. You know what I
which
mean? But you could hide behind that.
and I remember I had Kate Conway on, and I didn't know Stephen Clements very well, but I knew him. I would have obviously seen him whenever I'd been at City or well Q Radio, and
Mhm.
then at one of the a few of the Cancer Fund for Children events. So did you and people who listen to Kate's will know that Stephen is no longer with us. But one of the things I remember speaking to the two of them about was how Kate let Stephen kind of do all the technical side of it. Is that something
Yeah.
that you picked up easily, or
Yeah, because I had been on the theaters and knobs, if you like, in the bars and clubs. So
right?
yeah, I'm very, I would be quite techy and into my gadgets and my stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that came pretty quickly, thankfully.
And did you, so the Auto Trader then that, did you just decide 10 years was enough? You rounded it up at 10, did you?
Well, no, it kind of naturally came to an end as
Okay.
the the years progressed and technology
Yeah. Online,
pro-
probably.
progressed. Yeah, people that I was going to taking photographs, taking payment, taking a description,
Uh,
and as the years went on, people were taking photographs on their phone. They were
yeah.
paying with their card. They were emailing in, so that naturally did away with the photo agents. So
Yeah.
it came to an end.
Well, that's probably quite a good time to ask you then about social media and about how you've noticed a change. So even whenever, well, I know lockdown's different, but nights out. So like if you talk about the groovy train the Friday night when I would have gone with my friend Lynn, and then there would have been a group of us. It was like a text message. And you met, and then you went out. But even now, that's changed so much. You know, you're ringing, saying I'm at the door. Obviously, we're during lockdown, so there's none of that happening. And then things on social media like stories, I can walk right up to the and
Yeah.
have my fancy outfit or in the toilets, whatever. Do you have you what's your take on the progression of that linked with radio and linked with a personality in the radio? Because I didn't even expect you on New Year's Eve. I was dancing about the kitchen. Michael was on a work Zoom on New Year's Eve. And I hadn't even had a drink yet. And I was giving it Dixie in the kitchen with the kids, loving the tunes. But you picked up my message, and then that was one of the shout outs that I got. The boys were very excited.
Yeah.
What's your take on that, or how have you seen it evolve? Do you think it's good or bad?
Yeah, it's positive. It's definitely not a bad thing, and it's evolved like so quickly. I was one of the last to the party, if you like, in terms of social media. I think I
Okay.
joined Facebook in 2008 or nine.
Right.
I remember coming out of the studio one day, and I walked around to the car park with Kate Conway.
Mhm.
You know, and Kate said, "What about Instagram? Have you been on Instagram?" And I was like, "What's Instagram?" And she said, "Abe, you need to get on Instagram." So a couple of months later, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And it's only, I guess it's only in the past couple of years I've kind of built a bit of momentum
Hmm.
in social media. But yeah, it makes the world so small. You've got people interacting from all over, listening
Yeah.
like you were New Year's Eve, and
Yeah.
it's lovely to know there's people all over listening in and contacting and saying play or admit you bits and pieces. It takes me back to when I was living in Belfast and going to the Elbow. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, there's me again.
That's okay.
And yeah, so social media is obviously paramount.
Yeah. Um, it also is. How do you find it with your kids? What do you or
Yeah, well, it can be challenging. Of course, it comes with its challenges whenever you have kids. But we
yeah,
just have to, educate them as best as we can
yeah,
and let them know that the girls are on Facebook and Instagram, the boys not yet. No, but
yeah.
that day is going to come pretty soon, I would say.
So the girls are the older two are the girls, and then the
Yeah,
younger
yeah,
boys. That's
yeah.
brilliant.
Everything was pink and Barbies and Colleen was in her element, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And then 2009, I got my wee son.
Oh,
And then,
brilliant. And then so they're quite close together. The two at the top and
yeah,
two at the bottom are quite yeah.
Stephen was 3 months old when we found out that Daniel was on the way. So that was a
Very
bit
good.
of a, but it's nice.
Well, it's surely by the fourth you're like they raise themselves. No,
You know what? Yeah, actually, yeah. If I'm being brutally honest, I know Daniel's great. He really is. And don't get me wrong, they fight the bit out when they want. But Stephen and Daniel are great company for each other, especially now because they're
yeah,
not allowed out as much, and they're not allowed to see their friends. So they're great company for each other.
Yeah, I do find the same with my boys now that they are the younger one, because there's such a gap between him and the big two. He's definitely a bit left out. But where and the other two, when one doesn't want to play football and the other does, like that's a whole argument in
Yeah.
itself. But um, great. And then in terms of the fear, if I always like to ask people about fear, because I would mentor creative students or people who they're called students, but they're often people who are in a job thinking about pursuing a career in well, some are painters, some are one of the girls at the minute is a resin artist.
Mm.
Other people are like in well, they wouldn't necessarily classify themselves as DJs, but they make music. They're writers. Um, Fear is one of the things that can hold people back in that space. Do you have any take on how you deal with fear, whether that's fear of fatherhood, you're going stepping into fatherhood, or business, or in the creative
Uh,
space? Do you have any advice on that?
Fear, like given the profession that I'm in, and I haven't talked about this a lot. I have more recently, but growing up, coming in up through primary school, secondary school, I always had a stammer, and so doing the job that I'm doing now was the furthest job from my mind.
Yeah.
And I went to speech therapy and learned to control. Um, so the first time I lifted a microphone in a club, or especially doing that first overnight show on the radio,
Yeah.
I never experienced fear like it in my life. I knew what to do, how to control it, but
Yeah.
it was what if it happened? And
Yeah.
that was I couldn't get that fear, out of my head. And Ali, I had to throw myself into it. I had to do it. I had to try.
Yeah.
And thankfully I did, because the more I did it, the more comfortable I became. Um, and more recently, over the years, off the back of being on radio, I've done a little bit of TV, more social media, I
Okay.
guess, through the
Yeah.
radio station with promotional videos and promoting companies. Um, and some people had said, "Would you ever fancy a career in TV?" And I've always
Yeah.
said no. Radio's my thing. I love radio. I love being in that studio
Excuse me.
on my own. That's I love music, but TV, no, no, no. And then some people said, "Well, you could be good at it," and I think it's something you should try. So actually, about just before Christmas, I got a phone call from a guy called Liam Cray from Redbox Media,
Okay.
and Liam had he said he had interviewed me about 4 years ago, after an awards ceremony, and I did a piece to the camera, and he said he never forgot me.
Uh-huh.
So he rang me before Christmas and said, we're doing an online show. And this is something actually I want to talk to you about as well, as it happens. But this show, it's based in Belfast. It's all about local artists.
Okay.
And I would like you to host it. We'll have inserts. We'll have Adrian Logan um, interviewing sports stars like Jonathan Ray and Shane Lowry and people like that. But we would love you to be the host of, and it's kind of like a TFI variety concept where you're all over the building interviewing, chatting to different people. We've had musicians.
Mhm.
We're actually in the middle of it now. We've had artists. We've had magicians. A guy called Keelan McBride was amazing.
Okay.
Uh, and so that's the concept of that. And I'm doing it, and
That's right, because
I'm
you'd maybe
comfortable.
replied to one of the emails to say you were filming, weren't you? That was
Yeah, yeah, we're bang in the middle of it at the
brilliant.
minute. But so all I'm saying is push yourself, take
Yeah,
yourself out of your comfort zone, because you don't know where what doors it'll open.
yeah. I would definitely agree with that. And it's amazing how what happened to me this week with one of my new mentoring students said to me, "Oh, 4 years ago, I heard you talk in Armagh at a creative, like it was one of the techs held this opening. So it was myself and Shane Todd and all different people speaking at it. and I
Yeah.
did a presentation, and I remember like I was wearing a top and the sweat was dripping off me, and I remember thinking I could just not go. It was like a really bad day, and I thought I could just, but how amazing that 4 years later she said to me, "Oh, I've introduced all my students to you, and now she the mentoring." So if I hadn't have
Mhm.
done that,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So always pursue, and if you're comfortable, that is, I had to kind of push myself, take myself out of that comfort zone once again. But like that's one piece of advice that I've always been given from mom and dad.
yeah.
Is just push yourself.
Brilliant. And are you reading? I'll not keep you too much longer because I know that you're in the middle of schooling too. I always like to ask people, are you reading anything at the minute?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Colin bought me a book for Christmas, and it's Richard Osmond, the
Oh, Thursday night,
Thursday Murder
Murder
Club.
Club. I started it. My Michael loved it. He read it start to finish, like in a weekend. I have started it, but I'm also reading Michelle Obama's, so I'm kind of in between the two.
Right. Okay.
How are you
Well,
finding it? It's funny.
I've only read a couple of
Okay.
chapters of it. Yeah, but and it's going to be turned into a movie. I think Steven Spielberg has bought
Right.
the rights,
Didn't know
and he's
that.
going to turn it into a movie. So it'll be good. Um, Barack Obama, the memoirs. Just to listen to his voice
Hmm.
dictating it and reading it on the podcast
On
is
the audiobooks, is it? On the yes,
the
because
audiobook.
I find it, and anybody who's listening will be thinking Ali has read that book for the last 4 weeks.
Uh,
I find Michelle's quite slow, but now she's met him, and I can hear him when I'm reading the words that he has said to her on a date night or something. Like I
uh,
can hear his voice. So
yeah,
you have a very distinctive voice too, as I'm sure people say to you.
yeah. People do comment, and it's a much more deeper and whatever on a Sunday morning after Saturday night on the radio. But
And
yeah,
just slightly off piste, we Michael and I were talking as well about like relationships and how like this has been lockdown, because it's called the
mhm.
hindsight series. The lockdown has been so sorry. Yes, you can, but you also need to be Elijah. I can hear you through. You're screaming. Thank you. I'll cut that out.
The joys.
Yeah, but I said no Fortnite on his break, but he could have FIFA. But it could. Could you hear
Mhm.
him? No.
No, I couldn't.
No, screaming at the obviously his
Mm,
friends in the headset. Um. Anyway, the beauty of editing. How Michael and I were discussing about how relationships. It was really hard going the first lockdown anyway. When Michael was working from home, I thought my whole career was going to go down the tubes because I thought, who wants art? Who wants anything to do with me? How am I going to do this and the kids?
mm,
We found it quite hard going at the start. It feels this time around because he's in work every day. And I guess you can go get a coffee. Remember whenever everything was totally closed? You can
mhm.
have these little breaks. How have you and Colleen found, if you're happy to share that, like in turn, like are you closer as a family? You put up a very cute story the other day of, and it made me laugh because Michael and I always find the same. Our kids never sit with us now, really, to watch, and they're quite young. It's only the youngest one, really.
Never.
So
Ali,
they
it's
were
not
watching a
enough.
movie together. How did you find the relationships for you two and for the family?
The boys spend a lot of time with us. Naturally they're younger, but the girls are like we all have our own space here at
Yeah,
home, which is nice because it's been tough and you do need to retreat. But we never see the girls, to be honest with you. Katie's in a bedroom, working
yeah,
hard, studying. She's A level year for her, so she's working
hard.
hard.
Yeah,
Molly's 15, GCSEs, so that's okay, but they'll come down maybe to make a cup of tea
yeah.
or get their dinner and then they disappear again. Like I'll go, and this sounds maybe wrong. I'll go with 2 days without seeing Molly. You know what I mean? Um, but
That's
so
called a low
whenever,
maintenance child. That's called low maintenance. She's
well,
good, and that's a second child too. She'll be happy to know
yeah,
that.
yeah. Actually, they're all very, very good, I must say. But whenever they do decide to come down and spend a bit of time, like we were watching um what were we watching? Death in Paradise, I think it was. They love
Okay,
Death in Paradise. I don't know whether you
I
watched it or
don't know
not.
it. No.
There's a new series of it. Oh, Ali, it's brilliant.
Okay.
brilliant. If you love the Thursday Murder Club book, you'll love Death in
What's
Paradise.
it
But
on? Is it Sky? We don't have
BBC,
Sky. Oh,
not
BBC.
BBC.
Right, okay. I didn't watch it in Player.
Yeah, it's episode 3 into the new season, so it's on Thursday nights on tonight. But yeah, whenever they come down and spend time with us, and it's very rare there would be 6 of us in one room, but
Yeah.
it's like, and that's why I felt compelled to take a very subtle. Well, it wasn't subtle. Actually, I tried to do it subtly, and then they were like, "Daddy, what are you doing with your phone?"
Yeah.
So I just put it out there then, you know what I mean? But no, lockdown has been difficult. Yes, to answer your initial question, we have spent much more time together. Um, and not only that, we've appreciated it. I've always worked on sociable hours, weekends, late nights, and from March the 19th overnight, it just stopped.
Yeah.
And this New Year's Eve, actually, as an example, I spent the first New Year's Eve with Colleen ever.
Oh,
You know?
really?
Yeah.
Because of the
So,
nature of your work? Yeah.
uh-huh, and it was great. We did a groovy train. We,
Brilliant.
we we put on the wigs, dressed up, and so I've really appreciated spending time with the family. Um, and I don't know if I'm ever. I don't know if it's ever going to be the same for me. Whether
Yeah.
I'll go back to working those unsociable hours again.
Yeah. And also, you do realize how it's fleeting, isn't it? There's something about the kids all being under the one roof, and you know where everybody is,
Yeah,
and everyone's accounted for.
yeah, yeah. And but you have to also make an effort, And we have quirky wee nights,
Hmm.
over the weekends, and we'll have games night, or we'll have we had a pub crawl 2 weeks ago. So
Superb.
we went to Sesame Street South.
Uh-huh.
I cooked steaks. Then we came into this room, which we called the Kitty Bell. Spent a couple of hours in here. Then we went across to the other room, which was the karaoke bar, where we're there to 5 in the morning.
Oh,
And so
that's
things like that,
fab.
just quirky wee things like that, because sometimes you have to make an effort.
Yeah, last night we did Monopoly, Fortnite Monopoly, of course, but I was mentoring and I had to get offside. And then tomorrow we have the gazebo up for whenever you could actually have people, remember
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
So we have the roof of it. In our new house, we have a double garage. We never had that before. So the roof is up and everything's under it. But one of our boys is Cubs and they're having a virtual bonfire tomorrow
oh,
night. So you're
okay.
allowed to light your week. So we're doing fire pits and marshmallows. But yeah, you do
Brilliant,
have to actually make an effort
brilliant. That's a good idea. Very good idea, actually.
until someone roasts their face off, and the dog
Yeah.
jumps over the fire pit. But well, thank you. Is there anything else you would like to share that you're doing at the minute? When's that coming out? What you're filming or
So yeah, it's going to be we reckon not the next couple of weeks.
okay,
Actually, it's called Outside the Box.
outside the box,
It's
right?
something that hopefully will run and run and run, and would love to get you on.
Oh,
Yeah.
me on.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
superb.
I
Yeah.
have interviewed artists. Um, we have Carrie Quinn coming on from Derry
Yeah.
Girls Corey,
Art
who has
loves, isn't
the
it? She.
most amazing voice. She's going to be
Oh,
singing.
I thought you were meaning
Um,
Carrie, who does Art loves. Sorry, who's that? Carrie Quinn.
Carrie Quinn,
Carrie
yeah,
Quinn. Okay.
local actress. We've had Don Martin, the most amazing blues soul guitar singer.
Fab.
We have sports stars. We have Jonathan Ray on. So it's kind of all local based, but anything in the arts.
Isn't that another lovely part of from people in butchers to greengrocers to supporting local, wanting to know about local.
Mhm.
um my profile has grown, and granted I was doing that many blooming free tutorials and YouTube, and I was certainly trying, but it definitely feels there's an investment in us wanting, because you're here, we're not going
Yeah,
anywhere, we can't.
yeah.
So it's lovely,
Right.
it's quite a nice part of lockdown.
Yeah, and it's a show that'll showcase Northern Ireland to the
Yeah,
world,
great.
as well, what we do, and the amazing talent that we have here in Northern
Yeah.
Ireland.
Not just Game of
So
Thrones, which is nice then.
no,
That's good.
not to say. I've never seen it.
uh Neither have I. No, I did try because our friends in the States like absolutely love it. So I did try, but I just found it was painful. But I appreciate, I think it's great, like
Hmm.
effort. It's just not
Hmm.
me. Everyone's different.
I was, I'll give you a laugh. I was an extra, and extras NI rang me and they said, "Will you do you fancy being on Game of Thrones?"
Yeah.
So I did. I was in things season 2, 3, and 4, and again, I've never watched it. But Colleen and I were sat one night at home, and my phone, Ali, started going mad, ding, ding,
Because
ding, ding,
people
ding,
saw
ding, ding,
you.
because people seen me and started sending me the screenshot of my face on the TV.
That's
And
brilliant.
I've always said I must watch it, but it's not really my thing.
No, I'm the same. And also my a couple of years ago now, it was the third season of The Fall. One of their set producers bought load of my paintings, so they were in the hospital wards.
Oh, very good.
And similar thing, I don't watch it. I'm too scared to watch it. I just think don't ruin Belfast for me. I can't be scared going down
Hmm.
any alleys. But that I definitely scrolled right across just to find my art to see what people were talking about,
Yeah,
and then I
yeah. There
you
you
know I
go.
Jamie close to it. It was exciting for a moment anyway.
Get in.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for your time. And how can people find you then? If you tell us when the radio they can find you, and then also on your social.
Yeah. Q Radio. I'm dead easy to find. Abe, IBE. I'm usually the first one comes up because there's not
Yeah,
too many here in Northern Ireland. So yeah,
brilliant. And Abe
easy as that.
Sese on it's all one word, isn't it? On Instagram.
Hence the Abe dot. I think there's a dot in there as
Dot,
well.
brilliant. Well,
But Abe
thank
dot.
you. I really
No,
appreciate
thank
it.
you for asking me to come on,
It's great.
and hopefully we'll be able to catch up face to face when this is
Yes,
all
and
over.
Colleen and I can even remember it's arms up and to the sides, the start of
Yeah,
it. That's brilliant. Tell her I
yeah,
look forward to connecting then. That's brilliant.
yeah. No, I
I'm so
will. I will.
embarrassed because it really was. It was it was an exciting time. We're 17 as well. We weren't even like
Yeah,
14.
yeah.
On that note, thank you everybody for watching and for listening. And I will see you on the other side. There's a little blurb after this that you can find out more about the mentoring, about the different interviews that I have, and I'll see you on the other side.